Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this, the next installment of the CWS, or the Classic Wrestling Series. Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to do a bit of history today, ladies and gentlemen, because I want this to be a more historical episode of the CWS. Kind of like it was originally. It was giving you guys history, giving you guys facts, giving you guys more intellectual properties going into this first show, going into the first few shows. So ladies and gentlemen, what show am I talking about? Well, as I said last week, I would go back to where it all began. And since we're on the road to WrestleMania, how fitting is it, ladies and gentlemen? So, ladies and gentlemen, it is March 31st, 1985. We're in Madison Square Garden. I do apologize about that. SMG in the beautiful city. So nice they named it twice. New York. 19,121 fans witnessed the greatest wrestling event of all time, WrestleMania 1. Now, a little bit of history, ladies and gentlemen. This would be the first show to actually have closed circuit network. So what does that mean? Well, this was seen by over 1 million viewers through closed circuit television, making it the largest wrestling event on closed circuit television in the United States at that time. A technical glitch ended the closed-circuit broadcast early into the showing at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. To appease angry fans that were, well, pretty much PO'd, WrestleMania was broadcast in its entirety on local ABC affiliate network WTAE-TV 2 weeks later in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and it was the only area that they showed it. So, ladies and gentlemen, why is this show so remembered for what it is? Well, ladies and gentlemen, here is the thing. WrestleMania is actually a byproduct of Starrcade. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, in the early days, there was a thing called the Wrestling Territories. WWF had New York and the surrounding areas, whilst down south, Jim Crockett Promotions, otherwise turning into WCW, had the territories down south. And Jim Crockett came up with Starrcade, which is their version of WrestleMania. A lot of people say that, but actually Starrcade came out in 1983. And it actually preceded WrestleMania by 2 years, obviously. So WrestleMania comes along, and Vince is actually in a hole. He's actually broke at this point, and he needs this show to make money. And if he does, then this show would carry on, and we would have more Manias. Well, look what happened. We actually have more Manias, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, this year we're having WrestleMania 36, guys. So, obviously, this show was a huge success. But why was that? Well, it might have to do with the amount of wrestling that we had, and also MTV. Now, what do I mean by MTV? Well, before MTV was crap, MTV was a music channel that actually had music videos on there. So, naturally, Vince McMahon thought, I know, let's do some cross-promotion. So, obviously. So, we have the first show that was broadcast on MTV, which is The Brawl to End It All, which aired in July 23rd, 1984, which saw, and it was actually a live Madison Square Garden. It's basically a live show from Madison Square Garden again. So, Wendy Richter aligned with Cyndi Lauper, because Cyndi Lauper had come out with Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Ironically, Lou Albano would actually be in that video as Cyndi Lauper's dad. Defeated the Fabulous Moolah, backed by Lou Albano, to win the WWF Women's Championship. Then, at the War to Settle the Score, which aired on February 18th, 1985, so a month before the show, before WrestleMania, Leilani Kai, accompanied by Moolah, would defeat Richter, again accompanied by Cyndi Lauper, to win the championship. So, and also, building up to this event, we would have Muhammad Ali, yes, the former World Heavyweight Champion boxer, Liberace with the Rockettes, again, no joke, and Major League Baseball manager Billy Martin. I don't know who Billy Martin is, but he's Major League Baseball, so hooray! Yay! And some guy named Mr. T. Whoever knew what Mr. T was? No, obviously Mr. T was one of the biggest stars of the 80s with the A-Team. But also, he also appeared in Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling, which we'll get to in the main event. But ladies and gentlemen, let's do this. Also, just as one more noticeable up here, the opening theme song for the event is the instrumental portion of the Phil Collins and Philip Bailey hit Easy Lover. And the closing theme was credited by Axel F. by Harold Farmanmeyer. Okay, but yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, let's do this. So we just had Tito Santana versus the Executioner, and this match was quite good. The ropes are bouncy, you know, you can literally use them to fucking jump on. They're like a bouncy castle, but this match was okay. When just under 5 minutes, it was an okay showing by Tito Santana and the Executioner, who was played by Buddy Rose, by the way, Playboy Buddy Rose. Really good psychology with amazingly, for a 4-minute match, it had a little bit of psychology going into it. Obviously, the Executioner was targeting Santana's leg. Sorry, Santino, please do not be offended. Santana, please do not be offended. The Executioner was targeting his leg. He's going for it, and then literally, no joke, he's using the ropes to bounce on his leg. Tito literally just launches into his, just uses his legs to push him over, and he lands into a chair, which is brilliant. And then Tito gets the submission win with the figure 4 leg lock, which is weird to see Tito do. Next up, guys, we had a squash match. Yes, the first ever squash match at WrestleMania history. King Kong Bundy defeated Special Delivery Jones. This was weird. It worked in a weird way as well, because this match was supposed to be a bit shorter, but it actually went 23 seconds. I actually timed it. But yeah, King Kong Bundy uses this match as a squash match, and then later, next year, in fact, he would actually be in the WWF Championship match against Hulk Hogan, which is weird. Next up, Ricky Steamboat defeated Matt Bourne. Again, another really good match going into this show. But it wasn't given enough time, I thought. This match went another 4. It went 4 minutes basically. So far, if we add them up, we've had just over 10 minutes of wrestling, and the show's been on for about 20 minutes and 23 minutes. So it's a bit not nice, not happy about that. Especially when it's Ricky Steamboat and Matt Bourne who can actually go. Obviously, these two would become more famous. Obviously, Ricky would be Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and would have that amazing match. Would be a part of WrestleMania 25 with Roddy Piper, Jimmy Snuka, Ric Flair versus Jericho. 3-on-1 handicap match. Flair would be the manager. Ricky Steamboat would go, and he would actually get a match at Backlash that year. I think it was 2007. I want to say against Jericho. And it was a really good match. Ricky Steamboat could still go. If you want to catch my episode of WrestleMania 25, it's in the collection. Next up, guys, Brutus Beefcake versus David Sammartino. Oh, David Sammartino. I wonder who his dad is. Obviously, Brutus Beefcake is being managed by Johnny Valiant, and David Sammartino is obviously managed by his father, the living legend, Bruno Sammartino. And this ended in a double disqualification. Why have a double disqualification? The squash match, I get, but a double DQ, get lost. This match went the longest so far, with about 11 minutes. But again, Brutus is a good wrestler. David is okay. He's not the best, but I mean, okay, he's good. For WrestleMania, not really. But the only reason David was there was because Bruno was there, and he was able to get back into the match, get into the wrestling ring once again, teaming with his son. Bruno is over in this New York crowd. I mean, Bruno Sammartino is synonymous with Madison Square Garden. The guy lives there basically. This guy is one of the best wrestlers ever. Next up, the first of 3 championship matches, ladies and gentlemen. Junkyard Dog defeated Greg Valentine by countout. After a doubles disqualification, we get a count-out victory for Junkyard Dog. I'm going to come out and say this. I think Junkyard Dog should have won. I genuinely think he should have won this match. The crowd were over. The crowd wanted him to win, and I think Greg Valentine, have this as a nice win for Junkyard Dog, and then next month have him lose the title to Valentine. I mean, it would work. But yeah, this match was okay. Greg Valentine was managed by Jimmy Hart at this moment in time. But yeah, I really think Greg Valentine should have lost this match. I think it was one of the more weakest parts of the match that he didn't win. But Junkyard Dog didn't win. So, next up, guys, we had the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov with Classy Freddie Blassie versus the US Express of Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda with a face Lou Albano. What the hell are you doing, Lou Albano? Get back to the dirty manager's office right now, you bad guy. That was weird. It was absolutely weird to see Lou Albano as a face manager, because at this point he would turn face via Roddy Piper, I want to say, in that match. But yeah, this was a good match. I mean, Mike Rotunda, Barry Windham, obviously these two can go for US Express, are the champions going into this match. This is for the WWF Tag Team Championships. Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov, yeah, they're good. They were part of the worst match I've ever saw. Fuck you, Iron Sheik, and fuck you, Nikolai Volkov, for making me remind that match. Anyway, nothing against them personally, but the match was shit. Episode 52, if you haven't seen it yet. Anyway, but yeah, this match was good. This match was a really, really good match, and I enjoyed it. I thought I really liked it. The heels were, well, over as hell. Freddie Blassie uses the cane to get the win for the bad guys. Easy peasy. And then, oh, whoops, sorry guys, I have to check something. Okay, that's all bad. Do apologize about that. Next up, guys, we had Andre the Giant versus Big John Studd with Bobby Heenan in his corner. Career versus $15,000 Body Slam Challenge. Get back in the heel locker room, Andre the Giant. Get back there now. Go. Get managed by Bobby Heenan right now. That was weird again to see. Andre the Giant is known for being a bad guy. He is known for WrestleMania 3 being a bad guy, getting body slapped again by Hulk Hogan. It was weird. It was absolutely weird to see. But again, this match worked. This match was career versus $15,000 Body Slam Challenge. It worked. The crowd were into it. Andre won and basically was throwing the money out to the crowd, and Heenan grabs the bag and runs like... It was a good match, I thought. And now, guys, we have the semi-main event. A singles match for the WWF Women's Championship. Wendy Richter with Cyndi Lauper in her corner, taking on Leilani Kai with the Fabulous Moolah in her corner. And, yeah. Fabulous Moolah. We'll get into it after the match. So we just had Wendy Richter versus Leilani Kai for the Women's Championship match, and... I'm just going to come out and say this. This was a damn good match. Wendy Richter and Leilani Kai can go, and Wendy Richter wins, winning the championship. And it's one of the more infamous moments of WrestleMania. Cyndi Lauper and Wendy Richter just dancing around, and it's brilliant. I like it. I think it was a good thing. Fabulous Moolah. Okay, I had to try and stir this around. This is like the 10th time I've tried to record this without going into too much history. So what I'm just going to do, guys, is I'm just going to give you guys a brief summary. There was allegations, and a lot of people came out to say that Fabulous Moolah wasn't particularly a nice person, let's just say that. There was a lot of allegations of her basically stealing money from talent, using talent to basically get what she wanted in the industry, whoring them out. There's no other way to say it, guys. And if they didn't comply, they were a 5-letter word beginning with R and ended in D. Not nice. Obviously, these are only allegations. I can't go in, I don't know. If you want to read more into it, guys, just look up Fabulous Moolah and read her Wikipedia article on the matter, because I'm not going to do that. I am seriously not going to do that, guys. So yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to watch I think the Liberace stuff's next. So we'll watch that, and then we'll get into the main event and the main history to the main history story and why we are here today. So the reason why we're here, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. T and Hulk Hogan with Jimmy Snuka in their corner, taking on Rowdy Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff with Cowboy Bob Orton in their corner. So, why is this just so synonymous with wrestling? Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the biggest nights of wrestling history. The amount of wrestling, just the amount of celebrities in this match is mental to think about. We have got Liberace as the timekeeper. We have Muhammad Ali as a referee. We have Pat Patterson, the first ever Intercontinental Champion, as a referee as well. We have got so many there's so many just super, stars in this. We have Liberace. We have Billy Martin, who is a baseball manager. We have Cyndi Lauper, who was just in the previous match. We have so many of these wrestlers that were involved in this show. But the problem is, it goes much further than that. So as part of the promotion for the event, Hogan appeared on Hot Properties 4 days prior to WrestleMania, where he put host Victor Benier in a front chin lock. So basically in a normal chin lock. A move that cut off the flow of blood to the brain. Richard, however, he fell to the floor unconscious and began to bleed profusely. So basically, he was knocked out from this. His injuries required 8 stitches, and he basically sued Hogan for $5 million. But they eventually settled out of court. And this is the thing: the night before Mania, Hogan and Mr. T hosted an episode of Saturday Night Live to help promote it. And they didn't get back until about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, so you can actually see that they're really tired in this match. But again, so what happened? Well, in the months leading up to the first WrestleMania, Rowdy Roddy Piper began the talk show, which is synonymous with him, Piper's Pit. On one of the episodes, he infamously hit Jimmy Snuka over the head with the coconut, causing that to basically attack and coining the phrase, just when you think you have all the answers, I change the questions. Piper recruited Bob Orton to be his bodyguard, and obviously Bob Orton has the cast. So, in another episode of Piper's Pit, Piper spoke out about rock and wrestling connection, which led to a confrontation with Hulk Hogan. In February of 1985, the two men faced each other at the War to Settle the Score, where Hogan won in which Hogan won via disqualification after interference from Paul Orndorff, turning heel on Hulk Hogan, and Mr. T with Mr. T. So their ongoing feud would lead into their match with WrestleMania, with Hogan and Paul Orndorff going having a match. And at WrestleMania 2, Mr. T and Rowdy Roddy Piper would have a boxing match. I'm not going to watch that show. So I'm going to talk about the reception of the show. I'm going to talk about the reception of the show now, and then we'll get into the ending soon. So John Powell of Slam Wrestling rated the event as average, citing that it wasn't the greatest. Despite its overall rating, he praised several moments, including Orton hitting Orndorff with his cast. We'll get to that in a moment. King Kong Bundy's win, which is pretty big, to be fair. Andre the Giant throwing the money into the crowd. Again, that was a big deal. However, Powell listed Mr. T's wrestling as his least favourite moment of the pay-per-view. He claimed the main event match in which Mr. T took part was humorous despite its lack of technical wrestling. It's Mr. T involved at WrestleMania. There ain't going to be any wrestling. But in contrast, PWI awarded the main event match its annual PWI Match of the Year honour. The event was also inducted into a July 17 special, which aired on the MSG network, entitled The 50 Greatest Moments of Madison Square Garden, where it entered 30th. In December 2002 issue of the Wrestling Digest, the main event match was listed as number 5 in its most memorable 25 matches of the past 25 years. Etching John Powell's thoughts, Kevin Etch of Wrestling Digester stated, the match itself was far from a technical wrestling classic, but it delivered in terms of entertaining the crowd. In another Wrestling Digest article written by Keith Lonen, The main event was ranked third in the top 10 matches in WrestleMania history. In contrast to Powell, we now believe that Mr. T proved to be an acquired grappler. So, a lot of contrast between the two between the two matches. So, let's watch it and find out. So we just had the main event, Mr. T and Hulk Hogan versus Rowdy Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff, and the crowd reaction for this, I thought it was a little bit sweetened, but it's not. It is mental to think that, ladies and gentlemen. But to be honest, this is a really good show. And for the weirdness of it, the main event really worked, I thought. Obviously, Mr. T is not going to have any training whatsoever in this, but it worked. It genuinely worked, and it worked for a reason of it was a non-wrestler getting in the ring and trying to hand with wrestlers, and it worked. It was like it was innovated at it. It was innovation. It was massive at this time, and yeah, it was weird to think about that, and you know, having everybody there, you know, Cyndi Lauper, Muhammad Ali, you know, Liberace, Brian Martin. This worked, and this show worked, and now we're on the horizon of WrestleMania 36. It worked at the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the episode. What did I think of the show? It was a good show. Junkyard Dog versus Greg Valentine was a good match. Junkyard Dog should have won that one. JYD. Bruce Beefcake and David Sammartino was match of the night because it sucked. Wendy Richter and Leilani Kai worked their asses off for a 6-minute match, and it fucking showed, and it was a good match. Main event, good show, good showing. Match of the night, either Ricky Steamboat versus Matt Bourne or Tito Santana versus the Executioner, because it was a good match. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Where are we going to go next? You know what? I'm not even going to give you guys a clue. You don't have to wait and find out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching episode 54 of the Classic Wrestling series of the CWS. I've been Peter Samuels, TTFN. Ta-ta for now.